Hello, Xavier Latier here. So today I'm going to be showing you how to cut the HU162 T, the keyblade for the newer Volkswagen keyed ignition, the MQB, and even the Smart Key. This one is a little bit different, and it's kind of cool to see using the M2 jaw rather than if you have the M5 jaw, it's a little bit easier, or if you have other key cutting machines, it's a little bit easier as well. But if you just have the Dolphin, it is more than doable and fun to do. So we will just connect to our Dolphin. Something that's really important, if you're doing an add a key, something that's important to know is that they do have 8 cut, 9 cut, and 10 cut options. And you'd usually see that here if we were to go to cut by bidding. And then I like to just type in HU162, the T. And we have the 10 cut, the 8 cut, the 9 cut. So the way you'd be able to tell that is this is a 9 cut. On the 9 cut options, you can figure out which one it is just by looking at the side here. So there's either the cut that runs along the bottom or a cut that runs along the top. If the cut is running along the bottom like this, and actually has grooves, this is just a simple way to explain it. If it actually has cuts, and it's not just a straight line, kind of like how it is here. If it has cuts, that's a 9 cut. If it is just a straight path all the way across, that would be an 8 cut. And if the cuts were on the top, so if this was flipped horizontal and the cuts were actually running along here, that would be the 10 cut. So this is a 9 cut because not only is it running along the bottom, but it also has the cuts on it. It's not just a straight line, straight cut. So that's kind of a simple explanation for it. So because of that, that would be the 9 cut here. So this key can be intimidating at first because you see cuts on the A axis, or the A axis, the B axis, the C axis. You see cuts on the side of the blade. So you'd wonder, how do I decode that? How do I cut that? So we'll just show you that. On the B, it just mentions to put it in B right at the tip. And we'll just put in our original key and we will decode. So something that's really cool about this is all you need to do is just decode what would be referred to as the A axis here. Once you decode that, just kind of like, it reminds me of like a HU100, like a high security GM key. Once you decode that, then it will actually automatically calculate the B and the C axis. So it's just decoding that right now. And it says right here, learn key success B and C. So it gives us the calculation for B and C as well, without having to decode that. So the cutting part, this is where it would appear a little bit on the tricky side. So the A axis right here, this is pretty straightforward. Just like how you decoded it, you would cut that as well. So we will put this in and we'll just do the regular cutting for that. We will hit cut, and that'll cut just like normal. Okay, so once that is cut, I just cut both sides, you'll be able to see that, like we saw earlier, all you need to do is decode that A axis, and then the B axis, which would be the one with the notch right on that. That's why it kind of shows the picture like so. That is what we're going to cut next. And instead of cutting that on the B jaw, we're going to go to the D. And the way that this is put in place, let me make sure this is all cleaned off. It's going to go to the tip. And then what you're going to want to do is, I always keep an extra little just HU162 flip key blade in. what you're going to do is you're going to brace the key with that. So we'll just put that in, kind of push it as close as we can to the key. And you're going to align that right at the tip just like it needs. So we'll loosen this up a little bit. Take the key back, out, and we'll just align that to the second line. So this should be perfect right here. Make sure everything's all clean. And then we will select cut. So it can be a little confusing sometimes because in the picture, the diagram that the Key Tool Max will show us, is it'll almost look like the key blade is on the right, but the key blade has to be on the left. So yeah, the key blade has to end up being on the left for this. Okay, once that is done, that's how we'll brush that one off. Once that is done, you'll just simply flip the key. Make sure it's at the second line. Clean that off. And then we'll go to the C axis. So yeah, this is where it gets a little confusing. You'll see the diagram and you'll see that red portion on the left, and in nowhere does it say, hey, that red, I mean, it should be obvious, but it's not always. So that red blade is actually the key, and the gold one, which we would assume a lot of times is the key, would be our shim or our brace, which is just a blank key. So make sure it's a HU162, and it would be in there just like so. Awesome. So now we will go through and we'll hit cut. Let's dust this all off and we'll hit continue. And then it's going to go through and cut the C axis. A lot of people will say, you know, if you have the Triton, this is a lot easier. If, you know, you have the Black Widow or the M5 jaw. But if you just have the M2 jaw, kind of like me, it is possible and it's still doable. It's not a problem at all. So, yeah. Okay. And now we have our key, and it is cut perfectly. So yeah, the XP005, the HU162 cutting, all you need, the bare minimum, if you don't have the M5 jaw, which is the new version of this, it's pretty much the M2 and the M1 combined. If you don't have that, you just need your M2 jaw, a HU162 blade, and you're ready to go. Awesome. Lock on, guys. Have a great day.